How's it going, everybody? This is S3 Tide once again coming at you with a week 8 of college football prediction video. This week is going by really fast, and this is my second out of like 4 videos I'm doing in a row. I think I just uploaded my week 7 recap video, so go watch that if you haven't watched this, and I'll go ahead and jump into this week. Thursday night, we don't have that much of an intriguing matchup. There's not even that many. I don't think there's one really highly ranked two opponents going at each other on a Thursday night. It's all like Pac-12, Pac-10, Big East, nobodies. Like this Thursday, we have UCLA at Arizona. UCLA is terrible this year. Rick Neusenheisel is on the hot seat, definitely. Arizona, they just fired their coach, Mike Stoops. So this game is two Pac-12 teams that are on the decline, of course. So even though the game's at home, well, because the game is at home, I believe Arizona will beat UCLA close. But I say Arizona wins 17-14 over UCLA in a defensive struggle. Let's see, moving on. We have Saturday. This is a pretty interesting game. Oklahoma State at Missouri. Oklahoma State kind of struggled with Texas last week. Missouri's coming off the win against Iowa State, which isn't much. The previous week before that, they lost to Kansas State. Games at Missouri. Oklahoma State controls their destiny as of right now because they went out and they beat Oklahoma for the last game of the regular season. They could go on to play the national championship game. So I think Oklahoma State, for some reason, I got a feeling they're going to struggle in this game, but there's too much offensive firepower. I believe they'll beat Oklahoma. I believe Oklahoma State will beat Missouri 42-30. Next game, North Carolina at Clemson. Clemson's coming off that crazy win against Maryland, that big comeback in the fourth quarter. This game's going to be pretty interesting because I think Clemson's not necessarily going to be down after that crazy game last week. I think they're not going to be putting too much stock in this game against North Carolina, so I believe it's going to be close just like the last week's game against Maryland, but I do believe Clemson wins. I believe they outscored North Carolina. I believe they win 31-20 over North Carolina. Next game is Kansas State at Kansas. Kansas State's undefeated right now, beating their opponents just as much as they need to win, and that's fine. They can just keep on winning. Who knows how they can go from there? A rivalry game between Kansas State and Kansas. An in-state rivalry. Big brother, big sister game. I believe Kansas State wins against Kansas. Close. I believe they win 31-24 over Kansas. Moving on. Here is my upset of the week. Big upset. If they win this game, I will poop myself. Jacksonville State at Kentucky. I predict Jacksonville State to win this game. I don't even know. I think the starting quarterback is Thomas Dara, the quarterback, or either Cody Blanchard for Jacksonville State. The quarterback, Thomas Dara, was a quarterback from Alabama a few years ago that everybody made fun of. They called him the Heisman, even though he was like 4th string, and they ended up transferring to Jacksonville State. And Cody Blanchard's a little short guy, about 5'10", could have been offered by Kansas. It would have fit great in Kansas' scheme like Todd Reesing did a few years ago. But they didn't offer him, and he's doing great wonders at Jacksonville State, him and Thomas Dara. And Kentucky's been struggling mightily. And I actually believe Jacksonville State pulls the upset over Kentucky 20-17. That, if they win, I will poop myself. I will record myself on camera pooping. Not really, but just be watching out for that. Next game, we have Cincinnati at South Florida. Both teams coming off. South Florida's coming off the loss, and Cincinnati's coming off the win over Louisville. And this game's at South Florida. South Florida playing in that Tampa Bay Buccaneer Stadium, a big stadium. They don't get too many fans there because it's an off-campus stadium. I believe Cincinnati wins this game close, but it's going to be a high-scoring game. I believe Zach Collaros will outscore BJ Daniels 34-30. Next game, Arkansas, Ole Miss. Not too much to say about this game other than Arkansas will rip Ole Miss's defense to shreds. I believe Arkansas will win 47-14 over Ole Miss. Moving on, Boston College, Virginia Tech. Not too much to say, but Boston College is probably the worst they've been in the past 5-10 years. Virginia Tech should have no problem. I believe they'll win. I think it'll be kind of low scoring. Boston College always has that good defensive-led team, always having struggles with a quarterback ever since Matt Ryan left. I believe Virginia Tech will win 24-3 over Frank Spaziani's defense. Auburn LSU going to be probably the most interesting game of the week. Auburn coming off the win against Florida. LSU coming off the win against Tennessee at Death Valley. I believe LSU will have no problem stopping Gene Chizik's and Gus Malzahn's offense. I believe LSU will win this game pretty comfortably, 24-10 over Auburn. Next game we have Georgia Tech, Miami. Georgia Tech's coming off that loss against Virginia, their first loss of the season. Miami's coming off that win against North Carolina last week at Miami, which means there's going to be about 5 people in the stands. I believe Georgia Tech bounces back and beats Miami 34-27. Next game, we have not too many games this week. Tennessee at Alabama. Alabama really should have no problem. Just want to talk about this game a little bit. Alabama, last time they played at Bryant-Denny was Terrence Cody's blocked field goal win the year 2009 when they won the national championship game. So they were predicted to win that game by a lot too, but it turned out to not be so much. So I think Alabama will be looking back on that, not looking ahead to the bye week and the LSU game following the bye week. So I believe Alabama should have no problem. I'm not sure if Tyler Brady's going to be back or not. Even if he is, they should have no problem. I believe Alabama will win, let's say, 38-10 over Tennessee. USC at Notre Dame. This game's at Notre Dame. USC's not having that great of a year. I think they're like 6-2, I believe. 5-1. Sorry about that. They're coming off the win against Cal last week. Notre Dame has that one loss to Michigan, so they're not doing too terribly bad this year. Not too many people aren't talking about them. They also have that loss to South Florida in Week 1. Sorry about that. I had to look up on that. And Notre Dame's bouncing back. They have 4 wins in a row. They started off 0-2, and I believe they will win this game against USC in a very, very close game. I believe they'll beat USC 27-23. Moving on, we have Texas Tech at Oklahoma. Oklahoma's coming off that kind of scare against Kansas. It was pretty close going into the fourth quarter. Texas Tech's coming off that loss against Kansas State. I believe this game is going to be another scare for Oklahoma. They're not going to lose. It's going to go into the fourth quarter very close. Tommy Tuberville has a really great coach team at Texas Tech. They're lacking players on the defensive side of the ball. They'll get those in a few years. But their offense, as Texas Tech's been in the past, is always high-powered with their air raid offense. Oklahoma will be close going in the fourth quarter, but they'll pull ahead, and I believe they'll beat Texas Tech 44-28. Next game is where game day is going to be at. Apparently, game day hate SEC schools. They're always at the Big Ten. Why in the world were they at Oregon and Arizona State last week? I do not know why. That was kind of gay. But Wisconsin at Michigan State. Wisconsin controls their own destiny from here on out. They win out. They probably will go to the national championship depending on how Oklahoma State, Alabama, LSU do the rest of the year. This is going to be a tough game at Michigan State in Lansing, East Lansing. And this, I believe, will be a close game as like the Oklahoma-Texas Tech game going into the second half. But Wisconsin is too good of a team. I predicted them to win the national championship game. If they get there, the only team, because I'm a homer, I will say they won't. I believe Wisconsin is the second best team in the country. Being the homer I is and what I am, talking black. The homer I am, I believe Alabama's the number 1 team in the country. Number 2 is Wisconsin. I believe Wisconsin has a great defense. The thing they've been lacking in the past is a great quarterback. They have that now in Russell Wilson. Probably have the best offense in the country, to be honest. But just going to go ahead with the score. I say Wisconsin wins 34-20 over Michigan State. Last game I'm doing for the day, for this week. Number 25, Washington at Stanford. Here is another upset I am predicting. Andrew Luck and Stanford. They struggled mightily against Washington Washington State last week. So, why not Washington? Kevin Price been playing great for Washington this year. He's filling in for Jake Locker, who left for the NFL draft last year. Washington's only loss this year is against Nebraska. They pounded Colorado last week. They beat Utah a few weeks ago by like 20 points. They beat Cal by like 10. I think the first game of the season they struggled against Eastern Washington, but that was early in the season. But they've been playing great ever since then. Like I said, the only hiccup was against Nebraska. It was a great team. And as I said, I do believe Washington wins this game against Andrew Luck and the Stanford Cardinal. I believe Washington will win this game 24-21 over Stanford. Very close, but that's the upset. The two upsets I have this week, as I said, Washington over Stanford and Jacksonville State over Kentucky. And that is it, guys. That is my Week 8 predictions. If you haven't watched the Week 7 recap, go watch that. And I will see you guys another time. Roll Tide.